Lori wasn't born a Harvey. Steve adopted her when he got with Marjorie, his wife, but she got with him on some.
When I think about how quickly he moved forward from me to Marjorie, that was disturbing.
Thanks to my wife, I'm where I am. You said that about the first wife. You forget that you told us it was her. Then you went and married somebody else that think like him.
Marjorie Harvey is reportedly feeling major pressure after Katt Williams and Wendy Williams called her out over claims that she played a huge role in tearing apart Steve Harvey's family and influencing decisions that hurt his relationship with his biological children. Things got even messier when Steve's ex-wife, Mary Shackelford, jumped into the conversation and backed up accusations that family tensions got way worse after Marjorie entered the picture. What makes this whole situation wild is that Katt and Wendy were speaking on Steve years ago, long before most people were paying attention. Back then, a lot of fans brushed them off and acted like they were just being bitter or messy. But now, people are looking back at those old interviews and realizing they may have been warning everybody from the start. If you followed Steve and Marjorie over the years, then you already know people have questioned Marjorie's past from day one. A lot of the criticism comes from her history of dating controversial men, plus the belief that Steve became distant from parts of his biological family after getting serious with her. There've also been long-running rumors that Marjorie encouraged Steve to focus heavily on her children, even adopting them and giving them opportunities some people felt his biological children deserved too. Steve Harvey has 4 biological children with 3 different women, but people online keep pointing out that we barely hear about them unless there's some kind of family drama or complaints about their relationship with him. Meanwhile, Marjorie's children, especially Lori, are constantly in the spotlight, front and center at events, fashion shows, and all over social media. A lot of critics don't believe that's just random luck, and they've been questioning the family dynamic for years. Now, for people who don't know much about Marjorie's past, her first marriage has been talked about heavily online for a long time. She was linked to Jim Townsend, a man who later became known for major legal troubles connected to criminal activity.
With all the emails and the text messages and the different things that I was finding out about, I thought the least that he could do, make me whole at the end of it.
What shocked many people was the fact that he was reportedly still married when they first got involved, and there was also a pretty big age gap between them. Marjorie later claimed she didn't know about the marriage situation at first, but critics still side-eyed the relationship because they went on to build a family together. There have also been rumors for years that Marjorie was drawn to wealthy men because she wanted financial security. Some online gossip even claims this became a pattern in her dating life, with people accusing her of overlooking red flags as long as the lifestyle and money were there, though that's all still alleged and heavily debated online. Back in the early 1990s, Jim Townsend ended up facing serious federal charges connected to an attempted purchase of illegal substances, and he was eventually sentenced to life in prison. But by then, Marjorie had already moved on with her life and left the relationship years earlier. Reports say she divorced Jim while he was serving his sentence, and at the time, she was reportedly expecting their second child. A lot of people assumed that experience would push Marjorie towards a quieter lifestyle, but critics claim the same kind of controversy followed her again. After Jim, she reportedly became involved with Darnell Woods, who was said to be related to Jim's family. And according to long-running rumors, Darnell was also connected to similar street activity and legal trouble. That detail alone had people online raising their eyebrows because they couldn't understand why she would step right back into another complicated situation. The gossip got even louder after people learned that Darnell is believed to be Lori Harvey's biological father. Since then, critics have constantly debated Marjorie's dating history and questioned whether financial stability played a major role in the men she chose to be with. Not long after all of that drama, she eventually crossed paths with Steve Harvey, and that relationship completely changed the direction of her public image. At the point when Steve Harvey and Marjorie got serious, Steve was already a father of 4 and had finally started seeing major success from his comedy career. But critics have long argued that once Marjorie entered the picture, the family dynamic completely shifted.
He left. He just left, walked out the door. Once he realized that I was going to divorce him. He walked out the door.
Steve went on to marry Marjorie, legally adopt her 3 children, and build a very public blended family image that some people felt left his biological children pushed to the side. At the time, many fans believed Steve had already ended his marriage to Mary before getting involved with Marjorie. But according to Mary Shackelford, that wasn't the full story. Mary claims she discovered emails and letters that allegedly showed Steve and Marjorie were communicating romantically before the divorce was finalized. She also accused Steve of turning their son, Wendy, against her and making her look like the source of all the problems in the family. Things became even more controversial when Mary made serious allegations about an incident involving Wendy. In claims later discussed by TMZ, Mary alleged that Steve became extremely angry after getting a call from Wendy's school about missing homework. She claimed the situation escalated physically and that Wendy was badly hurt afterward, eventually needing medical attention. These accusations sparked major backlash online, especially because critics questioned whether the adults around him should have stepped in sooner during the family conflict. According to reports tied to the case, Wendy allegedly told authorities that Steve disciplined him with both a belt and a wooden paddle-like object during a heated situation at home. Police documents reportedly mentioned visible bruises and marks on his body, including injuries to his leg and upper thigh area.
Steve never said that he was sorry. He had our housekeeper pack his belongings up and forward those belongings to you. He took my Wendy from me. He turned my son against me, had me evicted from our house.
The reports also claimed Wendy said the incident left him in pain for several days afterward, which made the allegations even more disturbing to people following the story online. Critics were shocked because they felt the situation raised serious questions about the custody battle and the tension within the family at the time. Some people argued that the conflict between Steve and Mary may have spilled over into the way things were handled with their son. Despite the claims and reported evidence, the case did not move forward, which led to years of online speculation from people who believed Steve's celebrity status and powerful industry connections may have helped protect his image. But Mary Shackelford didn't stop there. She later made more explosive accusations and challenged one of the biggest parts of Steve Harvey's famous homelessness struggle narrative. According to Mary, Steve allegedly exaggerated parts of that story to make his rise to fame seem even more dramatic and inspirational than it really was. Those claims sparked huge debates online, especially among fans who had always viewed Steve's life story as one of the most motivating comeback stories in entertainment. For a long time, a lot of people brushed off Mary Shackelford's accusations because they assumed she was just a frustrated ex-wife speaking out after a messy divorce. Many fans didn't fully believe her claims and felt she was simply trying to damage Steve Harvey's image after their relationship fell apart.
All the businesses, all the money, the cars. At a moment when I was down and devastated. He maneuvered everything. He maneuvered He manipulated the courts, everything against me.
But the conversation took a serious turn when Katt Williams publicly backed her up and claimed there was truth behind what she had been saying for years. That's when the drama really exploded online, because Katt didn't stop at family issues, he went straight at Steve's reputation in the comedy industry. Katt accused Steve of lacking originality and claimed he borrowed heavily from other comedians to build his career. He even suggested that Steve had been quietly jealous of Bernie Mac during Bernie's lifetime. But after Bernie passed away, he allegedly started adopting parts of Bernie's delivery and style. Katt also brought up long-time rumors involving comedian Mark Curry, with claims that Steve had taken inspiration from some of Curry's material and comedic ideas too. And Katt Williams still wasn't done turning up the heat. He also defended Mary Shackelford's claims about Steve Harvey's famous homelessness story, saying the timeline just didn't add up the way people were told. According to Katt, Steve was already making solid money performing comedy shows and touring with comedians like Mark Curry long before he became a household name. That statement had social media going crazy because it directly challenged one of the biggest parts of Steve's inspirational image. Katt also seemed frustrated over what he viewed as a lack of recognition for the woman who helped Steve in the early stages of his career. Without directly naming Mary, Katt hinted that someone close to Steve played a major role in helping him build his success from the ground up, yet never received proper credit publicly. Fans quickly connected the dots and started debating whether Mary deserved more acknowledgement for standing by Steve before the fame and fortune arrived. And just when it seemed like the drama couldn't get any bigger, old clips and comments from Wendy Williams started making rounds online again. Wendy didn't hold back when talking about Marjorie Harvey and the way Lori Harvey's dating life became such a public topic over the years. Since college, Lori has been linked to several high-profile relationships, and social media has constantly kept tabs on who she's dating next. According to Wendy, Marjorie should have been more hands-on when it came to guiding Lori and helping her avoid becoming the center of non-stop relationship headlines. Wendy suggested that Lori was given too much freedom and that the public image surrounding her dating life reflected that.
I forget, girl, I gotta ask you this because this is practically in so many articles when Steve Harvey is speaking of motivation and all of this other stuff. Was Steve homeless? Was he homeless, sleeping in his car and all of this stuff?
Steve Harvey was never homeless a day in his life.
She also hinted that Steve Harvey didn't seem to have much control over the situation because, in her opinion, Marjorie held major influence in the household. Of course, the internet had plenty to say after those comments resurfaced. One person wrote, "People talking about Steve Harvey and forgetting that he abandoned his first wife and kids the moment he started making money and fame." That comment opened the floodgates online because suddenly people started revisiting old interviews, court stories, and clips that had been buried for years. Critics began questioning whether Steve's family man image was ever as perfect as it looked on television. A lot of viewers pointed out that while Steve constantly gives relationship advice on talk shows and podcasts, his own family history has stayed surrounded by controversy and unresolved tension. Some fans even brought up how Steve rarely speaks publicly about the painful accusations connected to his past marriages. Instead, people noticed that most of the spotlight has always centered around the glamorous lifestyle he shares with Marjorie, the luxury vacations, designer fashion, celebrity parties, and picture-perfect social media posts. To critics, it started looking like the brand mattered more than the truth behind the scenes. And the deeper people dug, the more questions started popping up about Lori's rise in Hollywood, too. Online gossip blogs have long claimed that Marjorie and Steve carefully helped build Lori's image into that it girl status everyone talks about today. From high-profile connections to major fashion circles, some people believe Lori's fame didn't happen naturally at all. They think it was all strategically planned from the beginning. Those rumors only got louder once Lori started becoming one of the most talked about names in celebrity dating culture. Every time she was spotted with another famous actor, athlete, or music star, social media exploded with reactions, memes, and non-stop debates about her relationships. Some people praised her for dating freely and living life on her own terms, while others blamed Marjorie for allegedly encouraging a flashy lifestyle built around status and attention. What really kept the conversation going was the way Steve always seemed to publicly support Lori no matter what headlines were trending. Fans noticed he rarely criticized her choices in interviews and often defended her when backlash started getting intense online. Critics, however, claimed that same patience and understanding didn't always appear to exist when it came to his biological children or his past family issues, and that comparison sparked even more heated discussions. Meanwhile, Wendy Williams kept adding fuel to the internet chatter by repeatedly hinting that there was much more happening behind the scenes than the public knew about it.
Not one time, because let's just add this up. Between your mama's house, Marsha's house, my apartment, and whatever you had purchased for Marjorie, what point in there would he have time to be homeless? Okay? The closest he ever came to homeless was when I think it was a year into our relationship. And he kept saying, I want you to go out the road with me. I want you to go. And he wasn't making a lot of money. and all I had was what I was making from the store.
According to Wendy, the polished image Steve and Marjorie presented to the world didn't fully match the tension and drama people close to the situation had allegedly been talking about for years. As more old stories started resurfacing, people online began connecting dots they had ignored for years. Clips from past interviews, radio shows, and comedy specials suddenly looked very different once fans started rewatching them with all this new context in mind. Some viewers even pointed out moments where Steve appeared uncomfortable whenever conversations drifted too close to his personal life or former marriages. The situation also sparked bigger conversations about celebrity branding and how carefully public images can be managed in Hollywood. Critics argued that Steve built an empire around giving advice on relationships, family, and personal growth, while accusations about his past marriages continued floating around unanswered. That contrast became a huge talking point online, especially among people who felt his television persona didn't fully line up with the allegations tied to his private life. At the same time, Marjorie stayed mostly silent while the internet kept dragging her name into every debate. But instead of slowing down, the rumors only seemed to grow stronger as more bloggers and gossip pages revisited claims about her past relationships, her influence over Steve, and the complicated family dynamics behind the scenes. And with Katt Williams and Wendy Williams both publicly speaking on it, the controversy suddenly felt impossible for fans to ignore anymore. Then, things got even awkward when fans started comparing how Steve responds to criticism versus how quickly he addresses smaller celebrity drama on his shows and interviews. People noticed that whenever serious questions about his family history or past relationships came up online, there was usually silence or a quick attempt to move the conversation elsewhere. That only made internet detectives dig even deeper into old reports and resurface claims. Some critics also argued that Steve's motivational speeches started hitting differently once these accusations gained traction again. For years, he built a reputation around giving life advice, talking about loyalty, success, and treating family the right way.
So I said, I cannot just quit my job and go out there. So I guess it was about a year and a half later, I actually quit the job. And he was like, you gotta go, I need you out here. So there were nights when we had to get from like Dallas to Miami or whatever. Obviously, you can't drive that in one sitting. So yeah, there were some times when we would pull over to a park or whatever. Steve was never homeless a day in his life.
But now, some viewers were questioning whether the public image matched the reality behind closed doors. The backlash became even louder as clips of Katt Williams calling out Hollywood fakeness kept spreading across social media platforms. Meanwhile, people close to the gossip world claimed Marjorie was frustrated by all the renewed attention surrounding her past. According to online chatter, she allegedly never expected old stories involving her former relationships and family controversies to return in such a massive way. And with Wendy Williams' old comments resurfacing at the same time, the internet turned the entire situation into one non-stop conversation that just refused to die down. What really shocked a lot of people was how fast public opinion seemed to shift once these old clips and accusations started circulating again. Years ago, anyone questioning Steve and Marjorie usually got dismissed as a hater or someone trying to stir up drama. But now, more viewers were starting to look at the situation differently, especially after hearing multiple celebrities bring up similar concerns over time. Social media users also began revisiting Steve's older interviews about marriage and loyalty, comparing his advice to the claims made by Mary, Katt Williams, and Wendy Williams. Some fans defended Steve and argued that nobody truly knows what happens inside a celebrity marriage. Others, though, felt the stories lined up a little too closely to ignore, and they believed there had to be at least some truth mixed into all the controversy.
All of y'all, and y'all thought y'all had one over on him. You thought he was black and ugly, and you were good looking, and he couldn't make it, because you did. And that ain't the way comedy works. The king is the funniest, period, every time. And that's why no audience member was ever swayed. It didn't matter where Bernie went. You think if Bernie went first, he wasn't the king? Get out of here. Get out of here. Get your ego out of this. You let the best be the best.
At the center of it all, Marjorie Harvey's name kept getting pulled back into the conversation too, Critics claimed her high-profile lifestyle became symbolic of the bigger issues people were accusing the family of: fame, image, and appearances taking priority over deeper family relationships. Fair or not, the internet kept connecting Lori's public persona to the long-running debates surrounding Steve and Marjorie, and the speculation only continued growing louder. As the conversation kept spreading online, more people started questioning how much of Steve Harvey's success story had been carefully polished for television audiences over the years. Fans pointed out that almost every major celebrity brand depends on control and public perception, and they wondered whether Steve and Marjorie had mastered that better than most. From motivational speeches to relationship advice and glamorous family photos, critics argued that the image always looked almost too perfect. At the same time, supporters of Steve pushed back hard against the accusations and reminded everyone that internet rumors don't automatically equal facts. They argued that many of the stories being repeated came from old interviews, unresolved family disputes, and commentary from entertainers known for stirring controversy themselves. Still, that defense didn't stop people from digging deeper into the timeline of Steve's marriages, career rise, and blended family dynamics. Meanwhile, gossip pages continue reposting clips of Wendy Williams and Katt Williams discussing the situation, and every repost seemed to spark another round of heated debates. The more the clips spread, the more younger fans who may not have known anything about Steve's earlier controversies suddenly got introduced to years of accusations and family drama all at once. And once the internet locks on to a story like this, it rarely lets go quietly.
People, he used to be homeless. That's my story. That's not his story. Steve Harvey was never homeless. When Mark Curry was touring with him 25 years ago, he was making $3,000 a show in cash and doing 5 shows a week. They just tell the stories. The same Steve that went to go watch Mark Curry do his whole sitcom and then stole everything Mark Curry had. Now Steve got a sitcom where he the principal and he wear a suit and then he gets this high top fade, making all black men think he got the best lineup in the business. And it's a man unit. Then you ask it, why you not a movie star? I didn't want to be a movie star. This the same that hated on Bernie with this same thing.
By this point, the situation had grown way beyond simple celebrity gossip and turned into a full-blown debate about image, loyalty, and what really happens behind closed doors in Hollywood families. Every new clip, interview, or resurfaced article seemed to add another layer to the story, and people online kept splitting into two sides. One side believed Steve and Marjorie had unfairly been targeted by years of rumors and bitterness, while the other side felt too many people had spoken out for everything to be completely made up. What also kept fans talking was the noticeable silence from Steve and Marjorie whenever these conversations started trending again. Instead of directly responding to every accusation, they usually continued posting polished family moments, luxury trips, and business updates like nothing was happening. To supporters, that showed confidence and maturity. But to critics, it looked like an attempt to avoid addressing uncomfortable questions tied to the family's past. And through all the drama, Katt Williams' comments continued fueling the biggest discussions of all. His blunt criticism didn't just reopen old wounds involving Steve's personal life, it also made people rethink how much a celebrity culture is built on carefully crafted stories that audiences accept without ever questioning what might really be happening behind the scenes.
Tell the stories. And this, man, thanks to my wife, I'm where I am. You said that about the first wife. You forget, you told us it was her. Then you went and married somebody else that think like a man. Like, what are you talking about? They think they can rewrite history.
The wild part is that every time the controversy seemed like it was finally slowing down, another old interview or forgotten clip would suddenly go viral again and restart the entire conversation. Social media users kept digging through years of footage, pulling out moments where Steve, Marjorie, Wendy Williams, and Katt Williams all appeared to hint at tension behind the scenes. And once those clips started circulating together, people began building their own theories about what they believe really happened inside the Harvey household. Some viewers also noticed how carefully Steve protects his public image whenever criticism starts getting too loud. Over the years, he built himself into more than just a comedian. He became a motivational speaker, TV host, businessman, and relationship advisor.
Marjorie wasn't born a Harvey. Steve adopted her when he got with Marjorie, his wife, but she got with him on some.
That's why critics argue these accusations hit harder than normal celebrity drama, because his entire brand is tied to wisdom, honesty, and family values. Meanwhile, gossip blogs kept speculating about whether more people connected to the family might eventually start speaking out too. With Mary's accusations resurfacing, Katt Williams publicly backing parts of the story, and Wendy's old comments gaining traction again, many fans felt like the situation had reached a point where the internet wasn't ready to let the topic disappear anytime soon. And honestly, what made the entire situation even more intense was the way people started comparing Steve Harvey's public advice to the allegations tied to his personal life. For years, millions of viewers tuned in to hear him speak about relationships, parenting, loyalty, and respect. But once these old accusations came back into the spotlight, critics began questioning whether the man giving all that advice had unresolved issues in his own family story that were never fully addressed. At the same time, supporters argued that celebrity families are complicated and that outsiders only ever hear one side of the story. They pointed out that rumors online can grow fast, especially when famous names like Katt Williams and Wendy Williams get involved. Still, even those defenses couldn't stop the non-stop debates happening across blogs, podcasts, and social media platforms every single day. Meanwhile, Marjorie continued becoming a major focus in the discussion because critics believed her arrival marked the moment Steve's family relationships allegedly changed the most. Fair or unfair, many online commentators kept revisiting claims about Steve distancing himself from parts of his biological family while publicly building a glamorous blended family image with Marjorie and her children. And with every reposted interview, the speculation only seemed to grow louder and messier.
All I'm saying is, Steve, I hope you and Marjorie are very proud of your daughter at 23 years old, being with a man with so many children and running around and she dated Puffy and Puffy's son, allegedly. If this was my daughter at 23, I would break her neck, crack her skull, and throw her down the steps. That's all. And you're not so good for your kids when they're 23 years old, but you could have implemented a certain type of way. Like all this right here, this is treasure, Lori.
One commenter wrote, cheated on his first wife, Mary, with Marjorie and later married her. Another person added, Steve Harvey got involved with a married woman while her husband was locked up, left his wife behind, and allegedly treated his own kids badly. Get your bag, Marjorie. Those kinds of comments have completely taken over social media lately, and people are still heavily divided on what to believe. Some fans think Katt Williams and Wendy Williams simply exposing uncomfortable truths that had been hidden for years, while others believe the internet has blown old rumors way out of proportion. Either way, the conversation surrounding Steve and Marjorie doesn't seem to be slowing down anytime soon, especially now that so many old interviews and accusations are resurfacing again. Now I want to hear from you. What do you think about Katt Williams and Wendy Williams calling out Marjorie and Steve? And do you believe Marjorie got with Steve because of his success and money? Or do you think people are reading too much into it? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share this video, and click here to check out another messy celebrity breakdown everybody's talking about.